Carved on a memorial at Stirling Barracks, Great Britain, ancestral home of all Special Air Service units, is this verse. We are the pilgrim's master. We shall go always a little further. It may be beyond that last blue mountain buried with snow, across that angry or glimmering sea. We take the golden road to Samarkand. In war, patrols probe deep behind enemy lines. On contact, hitting hard, then disappearing. Since its formation in Great Britain during the Second World War, the Special Air Service has acquired a mystique. The Australian SAS is no exception. This very mystique can attract the wrong sort of applicant, the loner, the rebel, or the cowboy. Although some small spark of these may be acceptable, the qualities the regiment seeks are those of a tough but thinking soldier, capable of being trained, tempered by discipline, and the will to win.
Their vehicle. He's in it. Stand by. You ready for it? Ready? Fire!
On your gun! On your gun! Get it out! Take it off, take it off. Okay, get up, get up, get up! Hands behind your back, move there, move forward. Sit down, shut up.
In today's SAS, there is also the added glamour of its counter-terrorist activities. What you're about to see is 24 days in the lives of 101 servicemen as they endeavour to join the Australian SAS regiment, filmed when it happened, as it happened. Some of these men will have joined the course for the wrong reasons, because of that mystique and glamour. But now this will all be stripped away, leaving only the will to win. Even if they have that quality, it will be the hardest personal battle they have ever experienced.
Sit easy, you can move your headdress. Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Northam and the 1 of 84 Special Air Service Regiment Selection Course. My name is Captain Mansell. I'm the Senior Instructor of Reinforcement Wing and together with my staff responsible for the conduct of the course. As the name implies, it is a selection course and not a teaching course. You will receive instruction in navigation, communications and first aid to ensure you all have the necessary knowledge to complete.
Standing by the lectern, I can see the guys are pretty tense. I remember when I did the course, I prepared myself for anything, but I was still really apprehensive. I'd spent the past 6 months preparing for the course by taking long runs, carrying bloody bricks in my packs by day, and by night sweating over past basic training. But there were still parts of the course which really caught me off guard. Looking along the row of faces, it's hard to tell who is prepared and who is not, but the next 24 days always tells. About now we introduce them to the directing staff, who they'll know very well by the end of the course. They'll be watching their every move and comparing notes by night. What they don't know is that while I'm giving the introduction, we've got our medics preparing a whole array of goodies. Then we get one of our star performers, Corporal Cole, to explain their use.
You have a sachet of kaolin powder. This is to be used for diarrhea. That's the big word on there. Anybody can't understand that? Scratch it out and put shits. It's the same thing. In your rooms, you will find every odd person has got a bottle of Effidex. As he reads the label, it says sparkling antacid, terrific for hangovers. But I promise you, you won't have a hangover. What did I give it to you for? Read the label a little further, and it has a 50% glucose solution. When some of you have completed long, lengthy runs in the evening, you'll find yourself pretty well exhausted. A capful of this into your cup will just lift you out of the doldrums for a little while. You cannot live on this. It is not a sustaining magic fluid, because it also contains sodium bicarbonate, and that will give you the shits, and then you'll have to use the other powder.
John Mansell's second in command on the course is Wing Sergeant Major Graham Bremer. He takes up the story.
Morning one of the course, we get them up nice and early and get them on the road. This particular session, which is a physical training exercise, is designed to set the pace for the course. What we try to achieve here is to identify some people who have come on the course for perhaps the wrong reasons, the people who are not prepared to put in their best effort on morning one. Once we've identified those particular types of people, we can single them out later on to keep more of an eye on them.
Everyone on the course is expected to be at a high standard of physical fitness. 3 months ago, they received confirmation of being accepted into the course and were issued with a set of written instructions containing the suggested physical training program for them to follow. As every man is a volunteer, they're expected to arrive in prime condition. However, there are some that just won't have had time to carry out the intense physical preparation for the course. So the opening days are designed to build these people up to a standard to prepare them for the harder activities later on. After the assault course, it's up and over the giant water pipe to the bellow of the PTI.
Get the last few people in. Ready?
The pipe after the first time is going to be slippery, and because of that it then increases the student problem of getting over it. Then it becomes a difficult thing, and it also becomes a challenge at that particular time. As the dawn breaks and the light increases, we can tell who's been putting the effort in and who hasn't. It's fairly evident those who have are lathered in perspiration, unless, of course, they've tipped a bottle of water over themselves.
I often wonder whether we should really start the course like this. I remember when I did my course, it was really quite horrendous being out there on a cold, dark morning with big warrant officers yelling at me. And I consider myself to be quite a good endurance runner, and it really hurt that morning, and I was really wondering what I was doing on the course. And even later on, I've seen guys that I've played rugby with, and they're pretty tough fellas, actually dropping out of the run and spewing and gasping for air. What always brings me back to the fact that we should retain this activity at the start of the course is that, firstly, as Warrant Officer Brammer said, it sets the pace for the course. It lets the guys know that they are on the SAS selection course, and it's going to be a tough course, and they better measure up if they're going to make it. Secondly, when all the facts are in, it's generally those guys that dropped out at the start who don't make it at the end.
Northern Army Camp, 130 kilometres out of Perth, the capital city of Western Australia. It was built just prior to the Second World War to provide a base for the thousands of soldiers leaving Australia for active service. The huts are finished in corrugated iron, like ovens in summer, fridges in winter. These huts also house thousands of displaced persons from Northern Europe as refugees from the war poured into Australia to start a new life. After the first shattering workout, most students have downed a huge breakfast and are now ready to face anything as they assemble to march back to their huts. The first casualty, Ranger Challen, is a few teeth short from a fall on the assault course. There is a minimum of spare time, a few minutes each day, and they're taken up with cleaning weapons. Everywhere, the click and rattle of bolts and magazines as SLRs are taken to pieces and painstakingly cleaned. On this first morning in the huts that have seen nearly 50 years of service, the directing staff, or DS, make their rounds. They'll have every man under scrutiny at all times. Their own performance as teachers and assessors will be criticised by their senior officers. In about 20 days' time, these innocent-looking trailers, standing in a remote corner of the camp, will become instruments of torture. Clotheslines sag under the first wash. It pays to keep smart. It also pays to learn the words of the regimental quick march, Happy Wanderer.
This might seem like a strange activity for young men to be undertaking on a nice sunny afternoon, but we are making the punishment fit the crime. Firstly, they did have dirty weapons, and secondly, if they're coming to the regiment, they should know the regimental tune. And what better time to learn it than now?
Get back in the hut! I must clean my weapon. I must clean my weapon. I must clean my weapon. I must clean my weapon.
In the regiment, all members of all ages and ranks continue to undertake physical fitness training and annual fitness tests. On the selection course, I like all the staff to take part in as many of the physical activities as possible to show the blokes that it isn't as hard to do as they think it is. In fact, we've got a 50-year-old staff sergeant. He's in there somewhere helping the guys along, and he actually did his selection course when he was in his late 40s.
Complete your resection and your navigation data sheet. If you have any problems throughout the procedure...
In this opening phase of the course, teaching plays an important role. Every man must possess a good standard of weapon handling, communications. Later in the course, his life may depend on this. First aid, and the key to the SAS regiment's battle role, navigation.
Have a look at your map, the marginal information there, determine the accurate age of the map. All right, and then once you've determined the accurate age, what would you do?
The accurate age, then I'd multiply it by the years, like
the annual change. Multiply it by the annual change. All right.
1744, 45.
Meanwhile, the runners are coming in on that first timed run. The ones you see here, who have finished well ahead of time, will receive quite a boost to their morale, while the ones that come in well behind time, or behind time, will have their morale shaken. And they'll have trouble raising their confidence to complete later activities, especially as those that failed have to do this activity again. But it's not as simple as that. The fact is that we're looking for the guy that puts in 100% effort all the time, whether he finishes 2 or 3 minutes ahead of time or finishes 2 or 3 minutes behind time. We know in that case he's going to be trainable and that he's going to be trustworthy in time of combat.
Remember what I said, I want you to keep walking around until you cool down.
18, 11, 18, 13, 18, 17.
As well as being kept spotless, weapons must be kept within arm's reach at all times. In the old days, if you forgot, they'd tie them to you, and that includes when taking a shower. By the way, that's the 50-year-old staff sergeant.
In the afternoon of the first day, we take them to the old theatre, where they undergo their physical training test. This test is conducted to determine the base level of fitness throughout the course. And by linking the results of this test with what we've seen in the morning, we can come up with a fair overview of characteristics of people, and we can link the names of the people who have performed poorly in the morning with the ones, if they perform well in the afternoon, it leads us to draw certain conclusions about those particular people.
Here on this course, the men have to achieve a pass in the basic Army physical training tests. Each one of these men should be capable of doing between 12 and 20 heaves.
What you're about to see may shock you, but it is necessary to use this as a benchmark in the work-up phase of the course. The 14.5 kilometre run in 90 minutes. Each man carries a rifle, 3 magazines, 2 full water bottles, a cleaning kit, a day's rations, all up weighing 10 kilograms, not to mention his greens and GP boots. They've known since they were accepted for this course the ground rules for the activity. Many of them won't have pushed themselves that hard in training. Today, as you'll see, they'll have to.
A few of the DS, like, they were running along with a lot of the guys, and they'd say, well, if you keep up with me, you'll make it easy. And a lot of things like that which sort of made us, keep going. I remember seeing the finish line once until I crossed it. After that, I just remember looking up into the faces of the guys around me. I know I think I had a ton of water sprayed over me while I was laying there. I had a few blackouts. After it was all over, I was glad I had done it. There's no way I wanted to do that again.
Back at camp, the hut suddenly reek of liniment as tired muscles are hastily rubbed. It's about the only place where this footwear is standard requirement, relief for tender, blackened toenails from running in boots. From the start of the course, they've been receiving navigation instruction. This truck is taking them out on their first practical navigation exercise.
This activity was originally designed because we had guys asked to be withdrawn from the course because they couldn't stand being out in the dark by themselves. This year we've combined the two activities. When they arrive at the start point, they are told to prepare their navigation data. The task is to navigate over a 4-kilometre circuit with the students taking turns to navigate backed up by the staff. At 11 p.m, they'll be told to make camp by themselves, returning to the barracks at 5 a.m.
Remember, that's the first time some of them have been in the bush alone at night. For many of them, normally their occupation in the army doesn't require them to be there. Having got over that hurdle, they've just been told they've got a 3.2-kilometre test run.
Now, they've got half an hour to prepare themselves under the watchful eye of Warrant Officer Rasmussen.
Come on, fellas, sort yourselves out. I'll get that protractor of mine back and pencil. How many push-ups do you owe me for that? 40, that's right. I'll get them off you later on today. What old duty student? Which you is it? Ranger Burnett? Yes, sir. Okay, I'll change you later on, but up until the completion of PT, you'll still be responsible. Right, I'll see you on the run.
14:50.
You may wonder why we picked this time of day. That's simple. It's cool.
14:27.
Really difficult runs like this are designed early on in the course as a physical and mental warm-up, like preparing for a final assault on a mountain. In this case, we have a whole range waiting in the Stirlings. Part of this warm-up includes doing punishment exercises for leaving your weapon out of reach.
The daily routine of weapon inspections continues. Warrant Officer Bremer again.
As second in command, it's my job to watch the DS as well as the students to ensure professional standards are maintained. This DS is about to make an error.
Down for 50. Range of muscle.
He's going to issue a punishment without explaining the crime.
Now. Push-ups. Push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
This student is now doing 50 push-ups for a reason not clear to him.
18, 19, 20, 21,
Notice,
22,
even at this
23,
early part of the
24,
course,
25,
these men are fit enough to do 50 push-ups with a minimum of effort.
30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48,
Now the DS has it right. He points out the problem, ensures the student acknowledges, and then he issues the punishment. Staff who make errors are always corrected later.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Upson, I left my rifle, and I don't know the regiment of soul. Upson,
There is absolutely no doubt in this man's mind why he's doing this.
Upson, left my rifle. I don't know the regimental song. Upson, left my rifle. I don't know the regimental song. Upson.
The physical training in the afternoons is divided into specific groups. One of them's circuit training within the gymnasium area itself, which takes care of the body tone of the students. Here they're doing between 60 and 80 sit-ups in 2 minutes. The next exercise is a little different.
Ranger Brown, keep it up, Ranger Brown.
Yes. Off the arms. Lock it up, man. Lock it up. Keep it going. Pace of pace. Keep it locked. Keep it locked. Guys, there will be Rangers troopers. Come on, we'll whip it. Pace of pace, come on. Just hold it. Come on, keep the arms straight.
These log exercises are as tough as they look, but they're not unique to the SAS. In fact, they're standard throughout the Australian Army. They're designed to toughen the muscles, and in this case, to prepare the students for the even more severe and demanding part of the course yet to come. After 20 minutes of lifting, each patrol starts a 10-minute run, in which time they must coordinate a cohesive team effort. Some will begin to falter and slow down. This is where a natural leader will take over, driving the team to come home first. All this will be noted by the DS. At last, it's evening mess parade.
Although it's not assessed, it's an extra threat hanging over everyone. The role of duty student for the day. It brings with it extra duties and responsibilities, and if they're not carried out properly, he receives extra punishment.
26, 27, 28, 29,
The students are on extra rations to replace their tremendous daily energy output. If the Army gives you extra rations, you can bet you need them. Many have come from office jobs. They will have lost up to 5 kilos in their initial training. Now in the course, they'll